Hi guys, hope everyone is doing well. Today we have a very exciting video for you all because we will go through Coconut's progress. I mean, we've only owned him since September, but I've been working with him for about 2 years now, I think. It was very sporadic in 2019, so the main progress will come at around 2020. So let's see. I will be, popping out and showing you the footage of how he was like before, and you'll be hearing my voice, and then I'll be popping back in for some explanations. Excited? Let's get started. Alright, so here you can see him back in the days when I just got him and he was cantering sideways. He had this bad habit. He was absolutely not quiet and he clearly was not happy. The pole work was very new for him and very scary. He has never seen anything of this sort before, so clearly he is quite stressed in the video. You can see that his canter was a bit more balanced than his trot, but still he clearly lacked the core strength. He could not collect and he was very, very uncomfortable, and to be frank, I feel he was in pain. So yeah, I'm not too happy with how he was feeling. Now, one important note, so popping back in for that, we started jumping pretty soon after I somewhat got him under control in the school. If I owned him from back then, I would have done it a little bit differently, but because he was a school horse, we had to play by the school rules, so I had the opportunity and then we started jumping with him at that stage. If I could do it over, I would obviously start with dressage, with some pole work to get his muscles strong and to get him comfortable, but like I said, we didn't have any choice, so enjoy some of his first clips. Going over the cross poles, clearly absolutely no row talent. Yeah, that does not look good. Couple of refusals. I have no idea what a 2-point is. I have no idea how to get him over a fence. I've never been over a fence ever. This is the first time of me and him doing it together, so clearly we have learned a lot. Yes, he's clearly not happy with any of that, and here's some of the few first somewhat successful, I thought this lesson was very successful, jumps. And here you can see that after I've gotten him as my main training horse, I started desensitizing him. You see I kind of waving my hand over his head, so he's okay with me doing that while I'm on him, and I'm taking him over the poles, and he's actually doing quite well for himself. So I've spent hours and hours in the arena trying to teach him 4 main things. Number 1 is that I am fun and safe to be around. Number 2 is that poles are fun and safe, and basically any new challenge that I'm putting in front of him is fun and safe. And lastly, that he can obviously trust me and I reward for good behavior. So obviously, again, remember that he was still not my horse, and it was very difficult for me to come very often and care for him. So you can see he had a bit of allergies here, so that's not looking very good. Now, thank goodness, he looks very good and clean. And here you can see we continued trying to teach him to jump, but he was still very much unsure and scared. There's small bits of progress, I would say, coming in. Here's him in the new arena, trying to tackle a double of cross poles. Poor guy. He has no idea what he's doing. Oh, it's like cantering over it. Obviously, his jumping technique was absolutely non-existent, and we had to work a lot on that. And there were, again, like I said, small bits of progress, but nothing major. I didn't own him and I couldn't come very often. So this was December 2019, and this is where we ended that year with jumping. After that, I kind of focused more on doing a bit of liberty riding because I wasn't very satisfied with jumping, and to be honest, I had a back trauma. And since I still clearly had absolutely zero clue what I'm doing in the saddle, I kind of stopped and postponed jumping until later. And then we went into lockdown. And here you can see the first video of me coming back from lockdown and jumping him. He is still absolutely hating it, but doing a bit better. This was late in August that we started to make a little bit of progress. I'm clearly very happy with getting over that double. I remember how happy I was. This was like a tiny 40 double. I'm not even doing that as a warm-up now, but back in the day, that was a major win. And to be fair, that was like late August, so not too far off from now. And I started to learn what to do over a jump after sleepless nights, quite literally, and trying to understand what to do, you know, in a 2-point, what to do over a fence, how to maintain my position, how to work on my core. And clearly Coconut is starting to enjoy it a little bit more. Still a couple of refusals like this one. And this one was the first photo shoot that we did with my friend. And you could see that he is still not sure about this, and I still have to very much push him towards the fence. Whereas now he takes me to it, and I still have no idea what to do over a jump. I don't fold, I don't give enough rein, and yeah, I was a bad student. But of course, I am trying to give him as much reinforcement and as much encouragement as humanly possible. And we're learning. So here he hits a pole. He's not happy about hitting the poles. He's actually very careful, and he hates touching poles now. He like gets really frustrated with himself if he touches a pole. And this is the first slightly higher jump that we did, and this is in the different arena that he was introduced to Oxers. I'll speak a lot about Oxers in a bit later. And this is the first time of me doing a course. I thought this was fantastic, and I enjoyed it so much. I was completely thrilled. It felt insanely good, although this was a tiny course, and this would be nothing for us now, but back in August, I think this was actually early September, yeah, this was early September, and that felt absolutely thrilling, and I loved it. And he even went in the correct lead. He had a problem of not wanting to start a canter on the left rein. My god, I've spent so much energy trying to get him to do that. Now he's a little better. Still, when he's stressy, he would not start in the correct lead, but at least he'll change to the right lead. So now he knows flying changes. Oh, this is us. Oh my goodness, me completely flying out of the saddle. Still have no clue what I'm doing. Yeah. No clue, but we're learning. And this is a very important moment where we're starting to work on grids at home. I absolutely love grids. Grids are amazing. Grids are fantastic. You should do grids. Grid work equals dream work, as the other question says, and I 100% support that. A little bit of a run out because someone was scared. Normal situation. But you can see that his attitude is changing a little bit from the first few times that he went over crossfalls and he started jumping. So he's starting to enjoy himself a little bit more. He's starting to enjoy that he can tackle the challenges. He's done the bounces, but not the vertical. Funny guy. You could see he's getting a bit better and a bit more keen. This one was actually, I thought was a fantastic training. I am still absolutely atrocious and I don't know what I'm doing. But he clearly is feeling a lot better. And yeah, this is the first triple bar that he's done. I felt amazing that day. I thought we've conquered a mountain. Yeah, I mean, you could see that this was late September, actually, I think. And again, like, this was a huge progress for us back then, because remember that I've just gotten back into work with him in 2020 as of late July, really. And this was the first time jumping a little bit higher. I think this was like a 80 or something, realistically. And this is a very important moment. Cut back to my face. Yes. So this is the moment where we bought him, and I think the dream life started for us, and we actually started training him together with my husband, and I had specifically 3 goals to focus on with him. Number 1 is clearly and obviously his core strengths. And what we do for core strengths, also 3 things. Dressage, obviously the alma mater. Grid work, like I said, grid work equals dream work. And pole work. Number 2 is his confidence, and confidence is greatly achieved with grids and a lot of light courses where he could feel easily that he tackles them and he succeeds and he gets a very, very good experience. And lastly, after I've achieved those 2 things, my last goal was jumping higher obstacles. Why? Because who doesn't want to jump a higher obstacle? I mean, like I said again, I'm sure a lot of people don't, but I wanted to. I have a certain set goal in mind where I want to lead him up to and stay there and perfect at that height. So part of that was bringing him up to height from where he was, which was at around, I think 80 was the highest that he jumped, 85 maybe at that point. So we needed to slowly start raising obstacles and free jumping him to get him comfortable with the sense of flying, because I remember there was a point where he would jump a meter and he would jump it from the first time and had no issue with that because physically he was able to do that at that point, but he would get himself so scared of flying that next time he would refuse and we couldn't get him to jump over the second time. So we free jumped him and that helped a lot. So this is what we started doing in our training. This is actually the first time us bareback riding him. And this is the first few courses that we were doing together. We were very small and we knew that he could tackle them easily. So you could see that he clearly lacks core strength, which again, something that we were working on for a long time. But a very important moment for me was to set him up for success. Now, this again is a very important, basically a training mantra for me, is that whatever new challenge I put before him equals something fun, equals success, and equals reward at the end. And that is the mantra that I am sticking with 100% of the time while I'm training him. So the importance is to set him up for success. And as you can see in none of these videos that I am riding without spurs or whips or any kind of an equipment that would force him into doing something that he might not be able to or willing to. And I know some of the trainers are using these methods, and I'm sure if used correctly, those aids can be actually quite helpful, but I don't think I'm personally able to use these aids well enough and not hurt him in a way with those aids and avoid forcing him into doing a jump, basically, because I want him to do it from a perspective of A, that he trusts me, B, that he's physically sound and capable to jump, and C, that he actually enjoys it and loves it. So that was my reasoning behind this. Here he's doing some of the small courses that we spoke about and some of the smaller grids. You could clearly see he lacks the strength in the core, he lacks that push and that impulse, but bless him, he's trying. And he's always such a trier. He's such a good boy and always trying hard for me. Still an odd refusal here and there. And obviously because his core strength wasn't that great, we didn't push him too much. So the maximum was about 40. In parallel, of course, we were working on his flat work and dressage and started slowly raising the bar for him. This clip is him jumping 94 for the first time, I think. This one, yes. That felt, I was over the moon in that clip. And we continued with bits of grids. This one he's down for the first time and I was sure he was going to refuse, but he did it perfectly. And we even showed that year. We had 2 shows in 2020. He did a couple of runouts in the crossbow round because the wings were quite scary, but we continued on and we did even the second round and he did it perfectly. So I focused on giving him a good experience rather than achieving some spectacular results. And we got a clear round, Rosette, so can't complain about that. And of course, after that, we continued and continued and continued practicing. This was the first photo shoot that we had with him and he looked amazing and we did more and more jumps. I always reinforced him a lot and praised him a lot and rewarded him a lot for a good experience. And I always have carrots with me. I have like thinly sliced carrots that I keep in my pockets or in my pouch or with my husband. And I always reinforce him a lot. Here he's doing one of the courses that we've set up for him and this was a 90 course and he did it perfectly. He aced it and he's starting to get more serious about his work and starting to enjoy it and take it very respectfully, which I was loving the change. Oh, bless him. He's trying so hard. I love looking back at these videos. It makes me almost emotional because I know what he's capable of now and how his attitude changed. And looking back at these first steps and him improving a little bit makes my heart melt, really. This is gonna tackle his double that he hasn't seen before. And I love how his attitude has changed here, because he's like, okay, I'm a bit scared, but I'll do it anyway. Which is what we wanted to achieve. That, again, this mantra, remember that any new challenge is fun, is successful, and is rewarding for him. This is what he's doing really well. Still an odd refusal here and there. And this is again him jumping the same height. So we were focusing a lot more on dressage here. I'm starting to perfect his flying changes and teaching him on cues. He's actually figured flying changes himself. But this one we wanted to kind of perfect it to the point where he would do it on a cue, and he is doing it perfectly here. A little bit spicy, but I'm still was very happy with that, and very uphill and nice canter. You could see how much he settled in and enjoyed. Starting to do more difficult grids. He got a bit tied up in his legs, but doing perfectly over the oxers. A word about oxers, as promised. I made a mistake in the training, that when he kind of went back to training for heights and verticals, we focused on the uprights and we didn't do as many oxers as we should have. And so he started developing a bit of a fear towards them, and we had to work very hard and continue working quite hard on getting that out of him, so he is very confident tackling these things. And this is him going over the triple bar and then the vertical and the oxer after that with the spooky wings. So I was really proud of him for doing that, because that was a really successful day, and this was the day before the competition when the center was preparing for that. And this is him jumping a 1 meter oxer, and this was one of the best days of my jumping time with him for a very long time, when he jumped a 105 upright, actually from I think a third time. But still, it felt unreal, absolutely insane. I was on cloud 9 that day and loving life. After that, we worked on a diamond rideability exercise that I got inspired by Elphick event ponies, and I think that helped him a lot. And you could see how he's starting to get a bit more of that ping in him and getting a bit more impulsion. Working on those oxers. Oops, that was a long one, but we enjoyed it anyway. Starting to get more serious about dressage, looking at those leg yields and bending and twisting and everything and going sideways. He hated me for that, but you know, it was important. And of course, more grids. Did I mention I love grids? I absolutely adore grids. And this one is again about the oxers. We're trying to make them a bit wider. This is him getting into the water for the first time. Do you remember the scheme I showed you? So new challenge equals something fun, equals success, equals reward. This is absolutely a mantra, like I mentioned, and it's starting to pay off exactly here when he's starting to change his attitude a lot. We also had a bit of a slump in training when he had been vaccinated, and we took him into work too soon, so he had a bit of a soreness in his neck. So we had a bit of a regress, but that was when he was feeling very good and getting back into work and back to his confident self. Started working on poles, which that was really funny. He always has this quirk that the first time he sees raised trotting poles, he needs to walk over them slowly and hit a few. That's the case till this day, although he knows exactly how to do them, as you can see here. This is just one of his little quirks. Starting to see some collection, finally. That one was a long time coming, and working on his back muscles. See that lovely trot transition? That took me years, well, not really years, but that took me months and lots of tears and sweat and blood to achieve that. Practicing shortening and lengthening his canter, he did amazing. And of course, more grids. And this one is very similar to get him confident with the oxers and uprights. This is him seeing fan poles for the first time and tackling them perfectly. Again, the mantra is working. And this is him enjoying jumping a bit too much because raised trotting poles. Mom put a jumping saddle on me, so that's got to be for something, right? He did figure them out in his defense. And he's been a really good boy with doing a fan canter poles for the first time in each direction. Did them very clean, actually. And this is us free jumping him, and that was a lot of fun because once he figured out that he could free jump over a height of 120, he actually went back around himself into the tunnel. We did not push him, he wasn't on the leader, I wasn't with a whip even, and he jumped it again for the second time, which is what you can see here. Those two clips are literally back to back. He's like, I can do anything in this world, and clearly that helped him a lot. Did you see that thing over that oxer? Yes, we're still working a lot on oxers. And this is the water jump, and again you see this attitude is starting to pay off. And this is more recent when we were doing a difficult triple with an oxer at the end, and he tackles it perfectly with that much of a scope left. And this is him getting a bit stressy about a pole added to a water tray underneath. But we have a little bit of a negotiation there, and he comes down, gets a little bit stiff in his joints, and trots around really funnily. And then he will finally get over this. And after that, he jumped with such a big scope. And this is us playing Chase Me Charlie on 30th of December, and him pinging over a 105 oxer like it wasn't even there, and me getting completely left behind in 110 oxer, which is the first time we both jumped that height. And again, for him, it seemed like it was not even there. This is him still enjoying an occasional pop over poles, race trotting poles, thinking that these are the jumps, and him somewhat clearing it here and actually clearing it here. So yeah. And then again, some more work on fan poles, which he's doing really well, and more race trotting poles. And that is amazing for their core strengths. Some more race trotting poles, raised higher now, and him doing it much better. And this is the last time we jumped with him, and him jumping oxers and clearly enjoying a lot. And this is a very wide oxer. And this is just a testament to our relationship, where he literally just follows me because I ask him to go back home and not being held at all. So yeah, that is a little bit of the progress. You can see that we've done so much since we've gotten him and since I've started working with him. I first started working with him, I think, in summer of 2019, I want to say. And then again, like you saw, 2019 wasn't very eventful, and then we had to take a big pause for lockdown in 2020. So it is really that we started working hard with him end of summer of 2020, and then since we bought him, we had him on our own training plan, and you could see how much he has changed and how much he's enjoying his work now, which I love to see. So yeah, that was really interesting and almost sentimental to look back at these videos and go over them. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something new, and subscribe to our channel. We'll have much more exciting content coming up your way very soon. Thank you.